Greetings everyone. Myself M. Priya, Assistant Professor in the Department of Industrial Biotechnology, Bharat Institute of Higher Education and Research. I am going to handle the course Biology for Engineers. Now I am going to deliver a video lecture on the topic ATP synthase structure. ATP synthase. So ATP synthase is an enzyme. It acts as a molecular motor and an ion pump, and another molecular motor, all wrapped together in one amazing nanoscale machine. This ATP synthase, it plays an indispensable role in our cells by building most of the ATP that powers our cell processes. ATP synthesis is composed of two rotary motors, and each motors are powered by a different fuel. So, the structure of ATP synthase, the motor at the top is termed as F0 and it is an electric motor, and it is embedded in a membrane and it is powered by the flow of hydrogen ions across the membrane. As the protons flow through the motor, they turn a circular rotor, and this rotor is connected to the second motor which is termed as F1. The F1 is a chemical motor which is powered by ATP. The two motors are connected together by a stator. So this is the ATP synthase structure, and the top is the F0 motor and down is given the F1 motor, and the middle, the connector, is called as the axle, and a stator would be present in the ATP synthase structure. So the two motors are connected together. The F0 and F1 are connected together. So one motor can force the another motor to turn, and in this way there will be a change in the motor into a generator. So this is what happens in our cells. The F0 motor uses the power from a proton gradient to force the F1 motor to generate ATP. In our cells, the food is broken down and used to pump hydrogen ions across the mitochondrial membrane. So this process is called as cell metabolism. And this cell metabolism, it involves 4 steps. The first step is glycolysis, and the second one is pyruvate oxidative decarboxylation, and the third one is the citric acid cycle, and the fourth one is the electron transport system. So this is the steps in the cell metabolism process. So here the main aim is to convert glucose into ATP molecule. That is the main aim of cell metabolism process. So in the first step, glycolysis, glucose would be converted into 2 pyruvate molecules, and it occurs in the cytosol region. And it is a 10-step process. It is a 10-step process. There will be 10 steps to convert this glucose into 2 pyruvate molecule, and that step is called as the glycolysis step. And here the net yield would be 2 ATP molecules would be produced. And in the second step, this pyruvate would be converted into acetyl-CoA with the help of an enzyme called pyruvate dehydrogenase. And here also one NADH electron would be released, and the fate of pyruvate, this pyruvate, either it enters into aerobic catabolism and it becomes lactate, or it enters into anaerobic catabolism and it is converted into acetyl-CoA. And this acetyl-CoA is an coenzyme and it releases carbon dioxide. Now this acetyl is taken to the citric acid cycle. That is the third step of cell metabolism process. And from the second step, it occurs in the mitochondria. So mitochondria is called as the powerhouse of the cell because it converts glucose into ATP. And this acetyl-CoA is taken into the citric acid cycle. So the third step is the citric acid cycle. So in the citric acid cycle, this acetyl-CoA will combine with a molecule called oxaloacetate, and here there will be a series of 8 reactions to complete the citric acid cycle. And in the citric acid cycle, at the end of the citric acid cycle, it yields 2 ATP, 6 NADH and 2 FADH2 molecules, and carbon dioxide will be released during this citric acid cycle. So why it is mentioned as cycle? Because the starting and ending product would be the same. It starts with oxaloacetate and also the process completes with oxaloacetate. So for two pyruvates, twice the cycle would be completed. So that is called as the citric acid cycle. That is the third step in the cell metabolism. And the fourth step is the electron transport system. So the electron transport system is the final step. So here only more number of ATP molecules would be produced. So this process is called cell metabolism. So the food is broken down and used to pump hydrogen ions across the mitochondrial membrane. So the ATP production would be occurring in the mitochondrial membrane. So this is the picture of electron transport system. So here in this process only more number of ATP molecules would be produced. From the to know about this electron transport system, we have to follow this high energy electrons which are produced during the citric acid cycle. So in the electron transport system, the high energy electrons which are produced from the citric acid cycle would be entering into each component. So there will be components and this high energy electrons, the released high energy electrons such as NADH and FADH2 would be entering these components. How they will move means they will be moving from a region of higher concentration to lower concentration. So the high energy electrons would be moving from one component to the other component. And while they are moving, this hydrogen plus ions would be moved across the membrane. They will be moving across the membrane. And this electron transport system, it occurs in the mitochondrial membrane. It occurs in the mitochondrial membrane. So this is the inner mitochondrial membrane and this one is the outer mitochondrial membrane. So during this electron transport system, the high energy electrons released from the citric acid cycle would be moving along one by one component. Okay, they will be moving from a region of higher concentration to the lower concentration. So as the electrons move, this H plus ion would be moving across the membrane. This H plus ion will move across the membrane. Thus it creates a concentration gradient. And this gradient is used to produce ATP. This gradient is used to produce ATP. So once this H plus ion is moving across the membrane, again this H plus ion would be moving backward again. So how they move means they will be moving against an enzyme called ATP synthase. This H plus ion, they will be moving across the membrane and again they will be moving back to the inner membrane. So at that time they will be moving across ATP synthase enzyme. So once they are moved through this ATP synthase, ATP molecules would be produced. ATP molecules would be produced here. And to produce one ATP molecule, 3 H plus ion has to be shuttled towards this ATP synthase. So for production of one ATP molecule, 3 H plus ions has to be shuttled towards this ATP synthase structure. So this ATP synthase is the important enzyme which is used to produce ATP molecules. So we are going to see about this ATP synthase structure in detail. So as I told, the F0 portion of the ATP synthase structure allow these ions to flow back, turning the rotor in the process. So as this rotor turns, it turns the axle and the F1 motor becomes a generator, creating ATP as the F0 domain turns. So each motor, so there are two motors, F1 and F0 motor. So each motor can drive the other. So if F0 is allowing the flow of H plus ions to the matrix, F1 is activated and it produces ATP. So this is how two motors would be connected together. So if F0 is allowing the flow of H plus ion, F1 would be activated and it will produce ATP. So if F1 is active, the hydrolysis of ATP to ADP and phosphorylation would be occurring. And it is used to make the F0 domain pump protons into the intermembrane space. So this is how the two motors would be working together. So The F0, the two domains, the F0 and F1 domains and the stator are given English letter designations for each of the subunits. So this ATP synthase structure has many subunits and each subunits are designed here. So there are subunits such as A subunit, B subunit, C subunit, alpha, beta, gamma and delta subunits are present in the ATP synthase structure. So the B subunit. So the B subunit of the ATP synthase is known as the stator or the portion of the protein motor that does not move. And this it also connects both the F0 and F1 domains through linker subunits. This is the B subunit. This is the B subunit and this B subunit is the stator. It is the stator and it joins or it combines F0 and the F1 motor and this is the portion which does not move. So that is the B subunit. So here in the ATP structure there are many subunits, A subunit and B, as I told, this is the stator connecting F0 and F1, the C subunits and alpha, beta, gamma, epsilon and delta subunits would be present in the ATP synthase structure. So first this B subunit, it acts as the stator. The A subunit. The next comes the A subunit. It is an important subunit that links the stator with the C subunit. See A subunit. A subunit is the one which links the motor with the C subunit. And it is also critical for helping the C subunits to adopt the correct conformation for harvesting H plus ions from the intermitochondrial space and then changing the shape to release them into the matrix. So the A subunit plays an important role in linking the stator with the C subunit. So this A is the one which links this B subunit and the C subunit. So it is useful for the C units to absorb or to harvest the H plus ions from the intermitochondrial space. So the A subunit it acts as a linker between the stator B subunit and the H plus transporter, the C subunits. The C subunits are called as the H plus transporter because through the C subunits only the H plus ions would be transported. And the A subunit feeds H plus into the C subunit. So this C subunits has 10 membranes also, more than 10 membranes. So like this, it has many membranes. And stator, the B subunit is a part of the electric generator that is stationary. And delta subunit attaches the alpha and the beta subunits to the stator. So the delta subunit is the one which connects the alpha and beta subunits to the B, that is the stator. So here the B is the subunit which joins the two motors F0 and F1, and A subunit is the one which connects the B and the C subunit, and the C subunit is made up of 10 membranes. So through the C subunit only the H plus ions will be moving across, and the delta subunit is the one which connects this alpha and beta subunit with the B subunit. The stator attaches to the F1 domain through the delta subunit, and the F0 and F1 domains are also connected together by the gamma and epsilon subunits of the proton that functions like an axle that can be used to connect and rotate the F0 motor domains. So here in this diagram, so this epsilon and gamma subunits will connect both the motors. So they will be acting like an axle in the middle. So once this F0 motor is moved, this axle will allow F1 domain also to be moved. So only this two units would be joining the F0 and the F1 domains. So this is about the structure of the ATP synthase structure. So here we have A subunit, B and C subunits, and we have alpha, beta, gamma, epsilon and delta subunits. So the delta subunit is the one which connects the alpha beta subunit with the B subunit, and this epsilon and gamma subunit would be acting as an axle in the middle. It is used to rotate the domains. So the alpha subunits. So the alpha subunits are not catalytically active, but even though they are not active, they can bind to ATP or ADP and Mg2+. Whereas the beta subunits are catalytically active subunits that produce the ATP from ADP and phosphorylation process. While the stator remains still, the F0 domain can spin in a counterclockwise direction due to the proton motive force. Even though the B subunit, the stator is stationary, it will not move, still the F0 domain will be spinning in a counterclockwise direction due to a force called proton motive force. The axial subunits, the gamma and epsilon in the middle joining the F0 and F1 also spin in a counterclockwise direction, and it will cause changes in the conformation of the beta subunits in the F1 domain that leads to the synthesis of ATP. So this axial subunits play an important role in rotating the F1 domain to produce ATP molecules. So the first step. So now we are going to see the mechanism of this ATP synthesis structure. So in the first step within the F0 domain, the interaction of the C1 subunit with the A subunit causes the conformational change of the C1 subunit. So this C1 subunit will open a half channel that is open to the intermembranal space. So this is the first step. So in the first step, what happens means it will be occurring in the F0 domain. So there will be interaction of the C1 subunit with the A subunit. So this interaction will cause a conformational change of the C1 subunit. So this cause will lead to a open in the channel to the intermembrane space. So once there is a channel open, H plus ion will flow. H plus ion will flow in, and it will coordinate with the negatively charged glutamate residue. So the C subunits rotate in a counterclockwise direction. So it is related to the stationary stator and linker proteins, that is the A and the delta subunits. So once this H plus ion is flowing across the C subunit, it will start rotating in a counterclockwise direction. Yes. So this diagram represents the flow of H plus ions into the C subunits. So this is the inner membrane, and this is the matrix, and this one is the intermembrane space. And so through the C1 subunit, the H plus ion would be flowing. So once this H plus ion is entering through the C1, there will be a conformational change, and this allows the rotation. This allows the clockwise rotation of the F0 domain. So the C subunits continue to rotate until they reach the other side of the A subunit. So this C1, this H plus ions would be flowing across the membranes of each C1 subunit. So as the H plus flow ions are moving across, this C1 subunit would be rotating in a clockwise direction. So until this membrane reaches the A subunit, this F0 domain will be moving in the clockwise direction. See, the C subunits continue to rotate. So they will be continually rotating until they reach the other side of the A subunit. So the rotation of the C subunits also moves the gamma axial subunit. So since the C subunits are rotated, the axle is made up of gamma and epsilon subunits. So this axle will also be rotated. So as the C subunits rotate, this axial subunit will also be rotating. So once the loaded C subunit shifts away from the A subunit. So once the loaded C subunit, now the C subunit is loaded. So until it is loaded in the A subunit, then the off channel would be closed. So locking the proton inside the channel until it reaches the other side of the A subunit. So until the subunit reaches the other side of the A unit, this proton would be locked inside the channel. So So this is how the ATP synthase structure, the F0 domain would be working. So this is the proton motor. So the loading of the C subunit. So this diagram shows you how the H plus ions are loaded. So the C plus ions are loaded with the H plus ions. They will be transferring from one membrane to the other membrane. So the loading of the C subunit causes the F0 motor to move in the counterclockwise direction. So this arrow mark is shown to represent that they are moving in the counterclockwise direction. So once these H plus ions are loaded, these H plus ions are loaded in the C subunit. So the H plus ions will be moved to all the membranes of the C subunit, and as they are loaded, the C subunit would be rotating in the clockwise direction. So as they move in the clockwise direction, it will move the axial subunit also. So until the loaded C subunit reaches the other side of the A subunit, the C subunit changes conformation to open up a off channel to the matrix side. So why this off channel is open means to cause the proton to flow out of the channel, that is into the matrix. So the C subunit, until they are loaded, to reach the other side of the A subunit, there will be a conformation would be occurring. So why this conformation change is happening means to open the channel, So once the channel is opened, the protein would be flowed out of the channel and into the matrix. So this flow utilizes a force called the proton motive force. So this force will drive the rotation of the F0 domain. So this rotation of the F0 domain will alter the catalytic activity of the beta subunits. The beta subunits are present in the F1 domain. So this catalytic activity, so this proton motive force will drive the rotation of the F0 domain, which in turn will alter the catalytic activity of the beta subunits. That leads the production and release of the ATP molecules from the synthase. So this step is an important step because the proton motive force will drive the rotation of the F0 domain. So this in turn will alter the catalytic activity of the beta subunits, and these beta subunits should be present in the F1 domain. So this change in the catalytic activity will lead to the production and release of the ATP molecules from the ATP synthase structure. So this is how the ATP synthase structure works. So in the C subunits, the H plus ions are continuously loaded. They will be continuously loaded, and so there will be a conformational change. So this conformational change will allow this H plus ions to move outside and ATP would be produced. So this is how the ATP synthase structure would be functioning. So this is the ATP synthase structure. So it will be present on the membrane, and inside we have matrix, and there is the intermembrane space. As I already told, this ATP synthase structure, it has two motors, the F0 motor and the F1 motor. So these two motors would be connected together. So this F0 would be acting as an electron motor, and this F1 would be acting as a chemical motor. So here we have many subunits. So the F0 and F1, each domains have various subunits. So the various subunits are A, B, C subunits and all. So this B subunit would be acting as the stator. It does not move. And this A subunit plays an important role in joining this B subunit and the C subunit. And this alpha and beta subunits would be joined to this B subunit by the delta subunit. And in the middle, the axle has two subunits, and the gamma and the epsilon, and these two subunits will join the F0 and the F1 motor. So it plays an important role in rotating the F1 motor also. So here from the C subunit only the process will be starting. The H plus ions would be loaded in the C subunit. So the H plus ions would be loaded in the C subunit, and the C subunit has 10 or more membranes, and this H plus ions would be moving across each membrane. So until it will be loaded until it reaches the other side of the A subunit. So from the C subunit until it reaches the other side of the A subunit, the H plus ion should be loaded, and as they are loaded, the C plus subunit will be moving in a counterclockwise direction. So as the C subunit moves in the counterclockwise direction, it will also allow this axle. This axle will be moved. So this axle in turn will move this alpha, that is the F1 domain. This will be moving the F1 domain. So once this H plus ions are loaded across the C subunit membrane, the H plus ions should be moved across. How they are moved across means there will be a conformational change. There will be a conformational change, and this conformational change will alter the catalytic activity of the beta subunit. Okay, so as the beta subunit changes, the ATP molecule should be produced. So this is how the ATP synthase structure functions to produce ATP. So the main function is the cell metabolism process, in which the glucose is converted into ATP molecules. So the ATP molecules are produced by the ATP synthase enzyme. So in this lecture we have seen the brief description of the ATP synthase structure. Thank you.